Earl Warren. A Freemason dedicated to justice and progress. Early years in education. Born on March 19, 1891, in Los Angeles, California, Earl Warren's journey into the realm of law and justice began with humble origins. His academic pursuit led him to the University of California, Berkeley, where he delved into political science and graduated in 1912. While at Berkeley, Warren was little more than an average student who earned decent but undistinguished grades, and after his third year, he entered the school's Department of Jurisprudence, now Berkeley School of Law. He received a Bachelor of Laws degree in 1914. Like his classmates upon graduation, Warren was admitted to the California bar without examination. After graduation, he took a position with the Associated Oil Company in San Francisco. Warren disliked working at the company and was disgusted by the corruption he saw in San Francisco, so he took a position with the Oakland law firm of Robinson & Robinson. Military stint. After the United States entered World War I in April 1917, Warren volunteered for an officer training camp, but was rejected due to hemorrhoids. Still hoping to become an officer, Warren underwent a procedure to remove the hemorrhoids, but by the time he fully recovered from the operation, the officer training camp had closed. Warren enlisted in the United States Army as a private in August 1917, and was assigned to Company I of the 91st Division's 363rd Infantry Regiment at Camp Lewis, Washington. He was made acting first sergeant of the company before being sent to a 3-month officer training course. After he returned to the company in May 1918 as a second lieutenant, the regiment was sent to Camp Lee, Virginia, to train draftees. Warren spent the rest of the war there and was discharged less than a month after Armistice Day, following a promotion to first lieutenant. Warren remained in the United States Army Reserve until 1934, rising to the rank of captain. Rise in politics. Warren swiftly carved his path in the legal and political arena. He assumed the role of District Attorney of Alameda County in 1925, laying the groundwork for a career dedicated to public service. This role was a launchpad for his subsequent appointment as the Attorney General of California in 1939, where he championed justice and the rule of law until 1943. Governorship and reform. In the 1942 California gubernatorial election, Warren defeated incumbent Democratic Governor Culbert Olson. As the 30th Governor of California, Warren presided over a period of major growth, for the state as well as the nation. Serving from 1943 to 1953, Warren is the only governor of California to be elected for 3 consecutive terms. This journey would cement his legacy as a progressive leader. His 3-term governorship saw significant strides in education, infrastructure development, and social welfare. Notably, Warren played a pivotal role in challenging the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, advocating for their rights and aiding in their resettlement. Running for the White House. Warren served as Thomas E. Dewey's running mate in the 1948 presidential election, but the ticket lost the election to incumbent President Harry S. Truman and Senator Alben W. Barkley in an election upset. Warren sought the Republican nomination in the 1952 presidential election, but the party nominated General Dwight D. Eisenhower. After Eisenhower won election as president, he appointed Warren as Chief Justice. The Supreme Court. When President Dwight D. Eisenhower tapped Earl Warren to serve as the 14th Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court, he never realized how critical this appointment would be to the history of the United States. Assuming this esteemed position marked a new chapter in Warren's illustrious career, as he presided over a court embroiled in a changing landscape of legal and social reform. Landmark cases and legacy. Warren's tenure as Chief Justice witnessed numerous groundbreaking decisions that reshaped the fabric of American society. Brown v. Board of Education, 1954, stands as a defining moment, where the court unanimously declared segregation in public schools unconstitutional, catalyzing the civil rights movement. Another landmark ruling, Miranda v. Arizona, 1966, established crucial protections for individuals during police interrogations. Have you ever heard of your Miranda rights? The Warren Court's rulings have received criticism, but have received widespread support and acclamation from both liberals and conservatives. As yet, few of the court's decisions have been overturned. The Warren Commission. Shortly after the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the newly sworn-in president, Lyndon B. Johnson, convinced Warren to serve as the head of a bipartisan commission tasked with investigating the assassination. From December 1963 to October 1964, Warren simultaneously served as Chief Justice of the United States and Chairman of the Warren Commission. At the start of the investigation, Warren decided to hire the Commission's legal staff from outside the government to avoid any improper influence on their work. To avoid the confusion and duplication of parallel investigations, Warren convinced the Texas authorities to defer any local inquiry into the assassination. Warren was personally involved in several aspects of the investigation. He supervised 4 days of testimony by Lee Harvey Oswald's widow, Marina Oswald, and was widely criticized for telling the press that, although her testimony would be publicly disclosed, it might not be in your lifetime. For the record, those files are still sealed. He attended the closed-door interview of Jacqueline Kennedy and insisted on participating in the deposition of Jack Ruby in Dallas, where he visited the book depository. Warren also participated in the investigation of Kennedy's medical treatment and autopsy. At Robert Kennedy's insistence, Warren handled the unwelcome task of reviewing the autopsy photos alone. Because the photos were so gruesome, Warren decided that they should not be included in the Commission's records. Warren closely supervised the drafting of the Commission's report. He wanted to ensure that Commission members had ample opportunity to evaluate the staff's work and to make their own judgments about important conclusions in the report. Although a reenactment of the assassination produced convincing evidence supporting the single bullet theory, the Commission decided not to take a position on the single bullet theory. The Commission unanimously concluded that the assassination was the result of a single individual, Lee Harvey Oswald, who acted alone. The Warren Commission was an unhappy experience for the Chief Justice. Warren always believed that the Commission's primary conclusion, that Oswald acted alone, was correct. In his memoirs, Warren wrote that Oswald was incapable of being the key operative in a conspiracy, and that any high-level government conspiracy would inevitably have been discovered. Controversy and criticism. However, Earl Warren's progressive decisions often courted controversy, drawing criticism from conservative circles that disagreed with the court's direction. Despite this opposition, Warren remained steadfast in his commitment to justice and equality. Masonic Connections. Beyond his legal career, Earl Warren was also affiliated with the Freemasons, having joined in 1919 in Oakland, California. He was raised a Master Mason on November 1, 1919 in Sequoia Lodge No. 349. Warren joined the Scottish Rite in Oakland that same December. He held offices in Sequoia from 1922 and served as Master in 1928. As a noble of Alms Shrine Temple in Oakland, he would serve as Potentate in 1933. He was also a member of the Royal Order of Jesters. His association with various Masonic lodges reflects another dimension of his life and social connections. In addition to Freemasonry, Warren joined such groups as the Independent Order of Odd Fellows, the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks, the Loyal Order of Moose, obtained the Pilgrim Degree of Merit, the highest award given in the fraternity, and the American Legion. Each one introduced Warren to new friends and political connections. He continued to rise through the ranks in the Masons, culminating in his election in 1935 as the Grand Master of the Freemasons for the state of California from 1935 to 1936. Final years and death. After stepping down from the court, Warren began working on his memoirs and took numerous speaking engagements. He also advocated for an end to the Vietnam War and the elimination of poverty. He closely followed investigations into the Watergate scandal. Warren continued to hold Nixon in low regard, privately stating that Nixon was perhaps the most despicable president that this country has ever had. 5 years into retirement, Warren died due to cardiac arrest at Georgetown University Hospital in Washington, D.C., at 8:10 p.m. on July 9, 1974, at the age of 83. On that same day, he was visited by Justices Brennan and Douglas, until 5:30 p.m. Warren could not resist asking his friends whether the court would order President Nixon to release the 64 tapes demanded by the Watergate investigation. Both justices assured him that the court had voted unanimously in United States versus Nixon for the release of the tapes. Relieved, Warren died just a few hours later, safe in the knowledge that the court he had so loved would force justice on the man who had been his most bitter foe. Earl Warren's story is one of dedication, principled leadership, and a relentless pursuit of justice. His legacy endures through the monumental decisions that continue to shape the legal landscape and societal values of the United States. What did you think of this episode? Do you think Earl Warren represented Masonry well? This Freemason passed laws that are still solid and monumental to this day. As always, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe to the Old-Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where real Freemasons talk Freemasonry.